Packer Nation morning, guys and dolls. I'm going to take a moment, pop on my microphone that I typically forget. Let me know who you are, where you're coming at me from. Let's do a little Packer talk. Anybody ready for this big game against the Vikings? I know there's people out there just can't wait. We're one day closer to game day. It's Thursday. Got a little football on the docket for tonight while I struggle with my camera today. Giants and Eagles tonight. I'd like to see the Eagles pull this one off and knock the Giants off their high horse a little bit. Packers beat the Giants already this season, but the Giants are a 10-win team. They've been playing good ball lately. Hector is here, says good morning to the Packer family out there. Injury report came out, but guys, we're getting some, reasonably decent news on the injury report. Number one, it's shorter. It was like 15 or 16 people before the Bears game. Now we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Still double digits. We'll go over that in just a minute. I want to do a little more roll call. We got Keegan out there. Tyler, Stacey, and Terry is here. Jacob says good morning. Good morning to you, my friend. Trent is on once again, the provider of the precious. Thayer Jewelry in Mauston, Wisconsin. They're guys who really know what they're doing. I highly recommend them. Mike and Sam and Andrew are here. Jamie, good to see you. Fran from Who Dat Nation. Oh, I guess the same. I don't know. Yeah, and we're looking, Saints turned it on this past week. All right, well, the Packers, we've been talking about this Packers-Vikings game, and it seems like this week has just taken forever to get by. I don't know about you guys. Give me a thumbs up if this week has just been too long. And it's a Saturday game, and I feel like we've had to wait for Monday Night Football already. It's craziness. But it's Thursday. We got some football tonight. Get in my Fire Fan League, Packer Nation, with our logo, our GPN logo. We got football tonight. Tomorrow's Friday. The weekend is almost here, and we have a Saturday game. So we have less time to wait, even though, frankly, maybe it's the holidays coming up or what. I don't know what it is, but it seems like this week has just taken forever. Injury report is reasonably good. Especially in terms of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got on, and the news on his calf is not only, he was a little slowed down by it early in the Bears game, but seemed like he got it warm and it actually improved as the game went on. Now he's had another week to try and get ahead of this injury. He is on the list and was a full participant in practice, which again, honestly, I would have liked to see them limit him again at least, or just hold him out, but we know Aaron Rodgers, he's the kind of leader that goes out and leads by example, and he wants to practice. And he talked about that, how important practicing is for him so that everybody can hear his voice and get ready for the checks that he might be calling out. And of course, we saw how important it is for Aaron Rodgers to make checks in the game, because the story coming out of the Bears game was that an emoji me response right now that Mike McCarthy wanted to just play for a tie. And Aaron Rodgers basically threw it 61 yards down the field on a bad hammy and a bad calf to Jordy Nelson, was able to not only get up there, but had to wait to clock the ball so he could wait till there were 3 seconds left. Because like he said after the game, the last thing you want to do is have to kick off. When you have a chance to put one through and end the game, you want double zeros on that clock. He did that. But the story is Mike McCarthy wanted to play for a tie. I think the last thing we should be doing is playing for ties anymore. If you absolutely if that's all you can get is an opportunity for a tie, then by all means play for a tie. But when you have Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams and Jared Cook and Ty Montgomery and Kristen Michael now, and hopefully Aaron Ripkowski coming back healthy. Rip was not on the injury list this time around. That little bit of a back problem. So we may see more of him this week. Another outdoor game, another cold weather game, back at Lambeau. Hopefully, one of the things we faltered on a little bit, and you guys noticed this, was we got ourselves in a lot of third and longs against the Bears. And again, we've got to give some credit. This Bears team has been playing some pretty decent ball. And who would have thought going into this game it would have been our running game that went walking tall on the Bears. But that running game is going to be important at Lambeau Saturday afternoon. So the Packers are getting healthy, guys. We've got somebody out there I know has a heart for this Packer team. We're not healthy. I'm still knocking on wood. We're not 100%, but we're starting to get to the right place at the right time. Randall Cobb with his ankle was a limited participant. Jaron Elliott did not participate. Jaron has turned it on a little bit as of late when we've needed him. TJ Lang was limited with the foot and the back. His back injury, that was more good news than we had. We saw the collision between, I don't think Lane Taylor he was limited with his hip injury. We saw the collision and the story behind TJ Lang was he felt something really funny in his back, and he said afterward, it more scared him than anything else. But, he got checked out, which is important with those kind of things. But the good news being, I'm expecting both of these guys to play. Guys, all the talk this week has been about Ty Montgomery in the running game, okay? And he deserves all the recognition, but let's take a moment right now and talk about this offensive line. We had one Pro Bowler, TJ Lang, and frankly, we have about 3 guys that are playing right at that Pro Bowl level. We saw Josh Sitton exit, and we were ticked. And now we see Lane Taylor come in here, and looks like he's going to be able to play too. Looks like he's going to be all right, although he was limited. Get healthy. This offensive line is showing they can do it all. They're one of the best pass blocking units in the league. But now we see them not only able to block up the zone running scheme, but also blocking up the traditional. We saw against the Bears, they were pulling. And you can tell these guys are having a blast, quite honestly. Now that we're running the ball a little bit more, it makes the game more fun for them. I know there's some linemen out there that are like, man, we loved it just to pull, get a running start, drip, kick out, block somebody, and see that running back get a wide open lane. And Ty Montgomery, even if he doesn't get a wide open lane, which are rare in the NFL, even if he doesn't get a wide open lane, he can take it to the house at any time. Kristen Michael showed he can be dangerous if Aaron Ripkowski comes back. We have the 3-headed monster now, I do believe. I said this actually for a couple weeks. I said it before the breakout of Ty Montgomery. So we are getting a little healthier. I better finish up. We still have Clay Matthews was limited. Nick Perry with the hand, but again, he's a guy that we might see him come back. The question with Nick Perry is going to be not if, but when, I think. And then the secondary question to that is how well is he going to play? Because he's likely going to have some kind of serious apparatus, is what you usually see the club or some such matter. So how effective will Nick Perry be? He finally had a year where he had been healthy, and then he gets hurt. It's really because he was having a good year. Demarius Randall with the shoulder, he was limited. Aaron Rodgers was full participant, as we said. James Starks is still in concussion protocol after the accident. This, again, it's nice to have a guy who's a veteran, knows the blocking schemes and everything, but not a huge loss. I think this is an opportunity for Kristen Michael to take the reins and to show that this is now a Ty Montgomery, Kristen Michael defensive backfield, and then add in Ripkowski as fullback when we need to. Martin says Ty is growing as a runner, which is great, yeah. And the thing is, the guy's so smart, and They talked about it this year. He already understands how to use his leverage, how to hit, how to get skinny, how to churn his legs, and he basically runs in a crouched position. You watch Ty Montgomery; it's pretty amazing to see. His pad levels always seems to be correct. It's not too low. He knows when to lean forward and get behind his shoulder pads. But yeah, he's growing every time he gets out on the field. Now he gets to come back home. Okay. Here's time for your response, Packer Nation. We have a score to settle with the Minnesota Vikings. Putting up 14 points. Yeah, their defense was playing well at the time. But we have a score to settle with the Minnesota Vikings. So hit me up with your response. You can heart it up, thumbs up, but we have a score to settle right now. All right, Lane Taylor with the hip was limited, and J.C. Treader was limited as well. Again, J.C. Treader is a guy that he will be back at some point, as long as we don't falter. So let's talk about this Vikings team. The Vikings, I have one concern philosophically or psychologically about this game. And here's how it goes. So I watched the game, even though it's just hard watching the Vikings play, in all honesty. Even when they're playing good football, it was a train wreck against the Colts at home. To the tune of, 34-6. The bright spot right now on the Vikings team is that the Blair kick project is over and Forbath can actually kick field goals. So we need to be careful of that. I don't think field goals are going to be the answer for the Vikings against the Packers. But here's the thing. The Colts laid an egg the week before at home, and they came back strong, and they destroyed the Vikings. This is my one concern. The Vikings laid an egg at home against the Colts, and now they have to travel to meet the Packers. But I must say, I don't think it's enough of a concern at this point. I mean, seriously. Let's run it down, right? The Packers have home field advantage. The Packers have the weather on their side. This is going to be basically the first cold weather game the Vikings have played in a very long time. Since the playoff game last year, or was it, against the Seahawks. The Packers have momentum. The Packers have confidence. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. You know the list goes on from there. And we're getting healthier at the right time. So the question was asked by Sean, will AD be a factor? And I don't think so. I think, this is my bold prediction, I think Ty Montgomery has more yards than Adrian Peterson in this game. And that may not be such a bold prediction. I've got, I always stir up my own recipe for winning these games. The coaches, obviously, what do I know? I know what I think. And I am not afraid to voice my opinion. But I do think this running game is going to be really important for this team moving forward. We've talked about it all week. The three-headed monster, we're getting in the heads of defensive coordinators. I know that they're staying up late. They're having extra tape. Dan says, Packers are favorites over the Vikings by 6.5 points, almost a touchdown. I should have thumbs up that one. I am not used to it, but I can now thumbs up your comments as they roll by. So I try to interact as much as I can, but it's hard to keep up. It really is. The Vikings against the Colts was an absolute train wreck. Adrian Peterson didn't get enough. He didn't get enough snaps under, but didn't take him long to have a fumble in this game that was at a critical moment. I don't think he's going to be a factor because he's playing again into the strength of the Packers defense, and now with Jake Ryan getting healthier. Blake Martinez got some reps out there. Joe Thomas is really one of the question marks. He was not on the injury list, but I thought he had sustained like a shoulder injury. Joe Thomas, we will recall, popped the toilet seat C off the Chicago Bears running back in the game against the Bears. Loving how he's hitting. Still don't want him to be in pass coverage, so I'm glad, Blake Martinez can maybe be back there as a third down back, but that's also, if we can get a rotation, these guys are going to be fresher. Got a chance to rotate in some guys and take some mileage off their wheels. The pressure in terms of the physical output can be slightly relieved as we start to get these guys back. Kyler Fackrell, another one that had been hurt. And Johnny's saying Cold won't allow AD to play much. I think the Vikings are going to want to play him as much as they possibly can. They want to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. However, I don't think he's going to be successful. And if the Vikings find themselves in the same situation they did last week, they're going to have to rely on Sam Bradford and throwing the ball. Now, that is actually my concern, folks. This was my concern. Those of you that are Badger fans, just quickly, you'll remember this. I actually was concerned at the half that we had completely shut down the offense, and I was afraid that when they started throwing the ball, they were going to be able to score points faster. If the Vikings get into sort of a hurry up sort of mindset, That's really where I would actually have more concern. Because, we've seen this defense give up a lot of points the last quarter they were out on the field. And I'm with Jason. Clay Matthews, he's not going to sit. I'll tell you that much right now. He's getting healthier. He is getting, Dom Capers talked about how they limit his snaps. But when he wants to play, he's going to play. They can limit what he's going to do in the packages he's on the field. But Clay Matthews is going to be out there. And I don't think none of our good players can afford to sit right now. Now, I had mentioned that if he couldn't go, I thought it was the Bears game that would have been the one for him to be able to sit out. We saw him play a little bit. But now, really, to the comment of having Matthews sit, I really almost am less nervous about this Vikings game, which might be, that's a problem. I know that the Packers team and organization has taken it as serious as anyone else. But the only hopes I think the Vikings have is that, they might have sort of a bounce back game. And then also I am concerned if they get quickly down by, maybe 10 points, maybe we score a touchdown, Mason Crosby kicks a field goal, and this Vikings team, Sam Bradford moved the ball at times very well against the Colts. Now, to some extent, that was because the Colts were already moving into prevent defense. But we know if we get a lead, that's exactly what Dom Capers is going to do. He's going to play the odds. We're going to move into that little more of a prevent sort of a style. Probably not as many pressures. But that's one of the keys to this game is we got to get Sam Bradford to the ground. It's why we didn't have success. He had success against us with a couple times. He had 2 beautiful passes, but we weren't getting him to the ground. So our pressure package, I think, need to be there. And it will be interesting to see. The Colts, I think, sacked Bradford 3 times in this game. And the Vikings were not able to get a sack against the Colts offensive line. I still think the Vikings, their front four, whatever, I think they are still, dangerous to some extent. But when you look at what our offensive line is able to do, and now that we can mix the pass and the run like this, and frankly, I have said this since, what week was it? It had to be week 3, I don't know, maybe it was week 6, I don't remember. But the Vikings linebackers are starting to look slow and flat-footed. And they did against the Colts. They were missing tackles. They were not fundamentally sound. They were missing gap control. And that's the last thing that these Vikings can afford against Ty Montgomery, Aaron Ripkowski, Aaron Rodgers, and now Kristen Michael, who has a legitimate shot at taking quite a few reps in this game. So they're going to work on that this week. We know that. But again, this is their first cold weather game. And Rodgers making the point, and I think I've made this point as well, even when the Vikings were playing well, remember the score of that game was Vikings 17, Packers 14. All we had to do was kick that. I think did we miss a field goal on that one? I don't remember. I tell you what, though, I thought my prediction was going to come true. My problem with Jacob Shum, as you might recall, was not that we brought him in last minute, that he had no reps, no punting reps. He's actually, done a little better from time to time lately. My problem with him was that he was going to miss hold, and Mason Crosby was going to miss a field goal that could win a game for us. I was afraid that this was going to be the game, so congratulations to Shum. You did well, my friend, and Mason Crosby is money for the most part, but Mason Crosby's numbers have suffered a little bit, and we know at least one of those was because of a hold. So, David is saying pressure on Bradford will be key, and yeah, I agree. I think we've seen this team from time to time. We don't always get to the quarterback, but the mindset is a relentless mindset. And you have to play, you have to play a guy for enough snaps to set him up. Some of these plays, some of these snaps are setting the guy up. Leverage here, and then hit him the other direction. Use a spin move, swim, whatever. So sometimes it takes time, and this is what happened against when the Vikings played the Colts. It took a little time because all of the Colts' sacks were in the second half, I believe. So, yeah, I think we're going to need to get to Sam Bradford early and get to him off. And I think that, again, if we do, that is going to be key because I do, again, I'm not, tomorrow's Prediction Friday, so I'm not going to give away my prediction. But I think that we're going to force the Vikings into this passing game sooner than they want to be. I think they are going to want to get the running game going to manage the clock, the time of possession, guys. In the Colts versus the Vikings, I think it was the league record for spread in time of possession. It was unreal in the first half. I think it was. I don't know how it ended up, but it was unreal how bad the Vikings' time of possession was against the Colts. Now, we did a good job. We play a game like we did against the Seahawks. But again, I am concerned, and there are two names. I see one of them is rolling across the screen. I'd give you a thumbs up. I can't even see the name now, the comments. But Kyle Rudolph, man, Sam Bradford he's got a good rapport with Kyle Rudolph, and Kyle Rudolph over the middle. Again, if we've put Clay Matthews on at tight end. At times we now have Morgan Burnett. Hey, Jared's here, my buddy. Says, go Pack, go Brady. Hey, that's always good to hear. I appreciate that, my friend. I want to get together. I'm not sure where you're at. If you're still in like North Carolina or somewhere relatively close, we need to get together and hang out. Jump on my bike or something and come out there. Give me a holler. Let me know when you're free. But yeah, Kyle Rudolph, and a lot of you guys have made this comment. He's a concern. Diggs is hurt. I am not sure if he played. I think Harris is also hurt. Vikings are, okay, so the NFC North is like one of the most injured teams in the entire league right now, I think. I think Spofford and Wes Hockwitz mentioned that. That the Packers, the Bears, and the Minnesota Vikings, I think they said the Bears have like 16 players on injured reserve already. But the Packers are trending in the right direction. I'm happy about this, folks. It's so important. You cannot put a number on how important it is that the Packers are trending in the right direction now. We've got to, knock on wood, we got to keep trending in the right direction. And we got to make sure, okay, so I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I still think against the Vikings, we can afford to. And I know you can't 100% limit him, but I want Aaron Rodgers to just take it easy a little bit, dude. You're good as a pocket passer for another couple of games. Just practice your pocket passing. How about we just be a pocket passer for a couple more games? Just get back there, use your mind, use your arm, and don't use your legs. Just freaking just deliver the ball. And let's see you get 100%. It would be great to get, or as close to it as possible. Jared is in Bahrain. Well, I definitely want to come see you then. I've had numerous students from Saudi Arabia here, which has been an interesting experience. So yeah, I guess I got to jump on a plane then. Can't just jump on my bike at that point. But yeah, So the Packers, I think they have the advantage. I think the running game is gonna be there for us this time because we can spread these guys out. You can watch the Vikings struggle when teams can hit the edges. They start to have to offset their spacing a little bit. Just think what Ty Montgomery and Christian Michael could have a breakout game in this game against the Vikings. I mean, he had a breakout run, I would say, against the Bears, right? That would be a pretty decent way to categorize a 42-yard touchdown run. One of two that he's had with two different teams, which set an NFL record. I don't think that's been done. But then I do believe, I believe that those inside slants, Jared Cook's going to have something. This could be his career game. Jared Cook's going to help us move the sticks. And that's going to help. I think the intermediate in-breaking stuff is going to be open as well. I mean, what are the Vikings going to do? They're running out of folks, And the Packers, because our injury situation was a little bit earlier in the season, remember, I've talked about this all week, our adjustment to the injury situation at the running back position allowed Ty Montgomery to float to the surface and to be discovered in a way he never would have. And part of it was his own, I don't know if you caught this story, but part of it, Coach McCarthy said, Ty Montgomery came in and said, listen, Coach, I think I can do this for you. Do you want to give this a shot? And Coach gave Ty Montgomery the credit for that. Say, listen, I've done a little running back. I don't know what the conversation was. I'm sure, Ty Montgomery will call me on the phone this week. Give me the straight skinny and I'll bring that to you verbatim as much as possible. So, yeah, just call me. Andrew's asking, can Cook stay healthy? Well, guys, there's a couple things going for him. And, the coaching staff is talking about this. They've talked about this forever, stacking successes. So he stacked a couple games in a row where he helped us move the sticks. He became a threat, and we saw what he can do. But in that, he's also stacked a couple of games where he stayed healthy, okay? So again, Andrew, we're knocking on wood. But if he can stay healthy now, he comes on at exactly the right time. Exactly the right time. And you cannot, again, when a guy is out with injury, his legs, when he comes back, he's fresher. And Jared Cook does not have a lot of mileage on those legs in terms of a grueling, long season. With that long away stand and then that horrible November, he was just, he was just watching for most of that. And Bill's making a good point. No more drop passes. I think I can get a thumbs up for no more drop passes. And I think at Lambeau, it's the perfect place to do it. Yes, it's going to be cold, but it's not going to be as bad as it has been. It doesn't sound like. It's not going to be as cold as the Bears game, it doesn't sound like. It may not even be as cold as the Seattle Seahawks game. And that was a beautiful game to be at. Cold weather, and I know I'll get some thumbs up for this too, those of you who played in cold weather climates. And I mean played even on the playground as a kid or outside with your family and friends. I loved cold weather games. You can run as hard as you want and you don't get overheated. I would rather play cold weather games. Now the shock is going to be for the Minnesota Vikings in this game. And I don't think it's going to be a big one, but it definitely leans toward the Packers if it leans toward anybody. And so I think Aaron Rodgers, if we will go with the short passes, we will move the chains. It may not be as high a scoring affair in that regard, but again, look at what happens. If the defense comes in, gets pressure on Bradford, he can throw interceptions as well. Once in a while, he throws some nice passes. If you let him stand in the pocket, just about any NFL quarterback would. And I do think Kyle Rudolph, as much as I hate what the guy does to us, he's a good player. He's a dangerous player. But if we get the pressure on him, then guess what follows behind that? It's the interceptions. Our Pro Bowler, Clinton Dix, congratulations, once again. Morgan Burnett, we've seen Micah Hyde do it before the half. We've seen the entire defensive backfield get interceptions against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago. I was thinking probably Aaron Rodgers would have an interception by the time all was said and done. Carl's saying my coffee is getting cold. You're right. And I overdid it on the coffee. I made a whole French press, which I'm trying to cut back a little bit. But I'm a little hyped up because we got some Thursday night football, and that's gonna an interesting game. We've got the Packers in control of their own destiny. We've got the Packers on a winning streak. We've got the Packers whose confidence is high, and we've got the Packers who are now starting to get healthy. Still got to put that disclaimer because nobody is 100% this time of year. But it is looking good. Hey there, MJ. So yeah, we're not going to overlook anybody, but the Packers are in control of their own destiny. We win out, we win the North. Vikings lost their chance to have their hand on the wheel. And the Packers are going to put them we're going to put them out of contention. We've got to do it. I've said this since the middle of the season. And yes, we are talking about playoffs. So if you're against that, and I say it every single time I get on here. I heard Wes and Spofford mentioning the same thing. Yeah, the Packers are going to look at one game at a time, but we're fans. I am looking at the playoff picture. And I know that there's the wild card in it. We can actually split these last 2 games, and if Washington loses again, which they did us a favor by losing, what was it, Monday night, and Tampa Bay loses one more, we could still end up with the 6th spot, I guess is how it works. I frankly could care less about that. We got 2 games to win, and it's one at a time, I know. But no faltering right now, no taking a step backwards, no putting this in anybody else's hands at this point. Johnny said snowing in New Mexico. It'd be pretty though, I bet. I like the snow. Not quite Lambeau. Yeah. Jerry says I'm married to the precious. It's actually on my right hand. It probably looks, my screen is mirrored, so it probably looks like it's my left. But yeah, you guys better check that FireFan League, that Packer Nation League with the GPN logo on it is where you want to be. If you haven't downloaded FireFan, jump on and get it. We are having a blast. It is not too late. We're playing for the precious. Somebody's going to take it off my hands. I am getting ready to knock Dustin off his high horse this week. I don't know, Dustin, if you're out there, but I'm coming for you. And Jacob says, it's time to go full throttle and get it done. I completely agree. What a fantastic comment. This team has something to prove every single week. We're playing the Vikings. We've got a score to settle this week. Come Saturday. It's a score to settle. And the Detroit Lions, it's time to knock them off the top at the NFC North. We are not going through a 2-year streak of not being the NFC North champs. We're just not going to do that, ladies and gentlemen of Packer Nation. I declare it. What it's going to take. But we are going to get this job done. Roger Cox says, run the table, as Aaron Rodgers so eloquently stated that he thought the Packers could do. Of course, at the time, and Aaron Rodgers was strategic about his timing to say that. And, Aaron Rodgers, he's a smart guy. He knew the team needed it. He knew the team needed something out there, a little buzz, a little stir. And he gave it to him. The run the table speech was the exact same thing as getting on the radio and saying R-E-L. I'm not going to spell the rest of it because I'm so sick and tired of hearing it. But, this team this time, they knew that they were not playing well. And they were injured. Now we're getting healthy, like I said. I think Aaron Rodgers can get the short passing game going. I think Randall Cobb might have something to say. He was limited again, I believe. And Cobb, he's got this ankle that's a critical piece of equipment when you're a wide receiver. But I think he may have something to say in this game because Coach McCarthy talked about it after the Bears game. And Randall Cobb does more than just run routes for us. He brings up the young players and he shows people how to play hurt. And he's been doing it for years. He's he's a lighter guy. He's had a tendency to get dinged up. It's tough. But he does nothing. You never hear him talk about it. And he just goes out there and plays. And the coach talked about getting Cobb involved. And I think Cobb is going to have something to say in this game. So that short passing game's going. I think Randall Cobb and Jared Cook may have very big games, important games. I think Adams bounces back. If he gets the long bomb on this one, I think he makes the catch. He needs to get his confidence back. I hope he gets 1 or 2 shots. We know those shot plays are going to come. We've seen it. They're moving guys around. They've ended up with Jordy Nelson singled up on a linebacker and stuff like that. You know where Aaron Rodgers is going to go. When it's time to take a shot, he's going to take that shot. Devontae Adams has been beating, I've said this for weeks now, he's beating everybody they put in front of him right now. And the only problem he had, obviously, was finishing against the Bears. Well, he's going to have a chance to get that confidence back, and we need him to. Maybe it's that one long pass. Maybe they get him started with a couple over the middle. He's beating everybody in front of him. And Mike Edwards says, give a like if you say we going all the way. And you can say that as a fan. And frankly, oh no, Roger, jeez. Oh, I love this show because it's just cracked me up half the time. I love it because they don't piss me off very often. We've had that once in a while, but most of the time they crack me up, or they're just great comments. We have a lot of those too. I love this show. All right, folks, and I love these Packers. I love where we're at. I can't wait for this game on Saturday. I do have some concerns. As I mentioned, I think this team could end up on, I think Sam Bradford gives them their best chance to win, which is not great, I don't think. But I think it's better than them trying to run the ball on us and trying to manage the clock. Because if Aaron Rodgers gets out there, we get a lead. This Vikings team is not going to be able to just grind it out and have a chance to beat the Green Bay Packers right now, I don't believe. The other concern I have, and I know a few of you will thumbs up me for this one because you're thinking it too, is Cordarrelle Patterson in the kick return game. Our special teams have been kind of hot again, cold again. I'm not sure how to characterize them right now. I think we're playing adequate football. We don't have a fantastic return game. I think Randall Cobb gives us a little spark in the return game. But again, Timona's asking about Nick Perry. Yeah, he's still limited, and we're looking for him to show up, if not this week, maybe against the Detroit Lions. But I think the question really with Nick Perry is how effective is he going to be when we get him back? Honestly, I think we can win both of the next two games without him. I'd like to see him get back and be effective. We'll see. Now I completely lost my place, but trying to think. Oh yeah, the special teams of the Vikings. Patterson was the Pro Bowl special teams specialist, I believe, and we saw Mason Crosby have to make a tackle against him. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago? I think it was last year, right? And Virginia's saying 4 quarters of play. All right, so let's say it again. This is our mantra: 4 quarters of play in 3 phases. All right, so that goes. If we take care of that, Patterson, he's going to get some yards, but again, a touchback goes to the 25. If we can just maintain lanes and not give him the gap that he needs, which is what happens when you have 2 guys at 2 different levels. You create this seam, and Patterson is dangerous. His acceleration ability. It's the same thing with Adrian Peterson. But we have enough experience with Adrian Peterson. The problem in special teams that I have is there is so much space. You're having to cover so much ground. You're sprinting down the field. And the spacing is so different. That Patterson does worry me. I got to say it, even though he doesn't worry me necessarily for this game. But Sam Bradford, to some extent, worries me. Sound like a wuss. Let's start over. Sam Bradford, hey, you've had a few good passes. You might have a few good passes, but we are taking you down. Patterson, hey, I'm not going to say you're not a good returner, but we're going to take you down. So let's throw this off. I do think I've seen this for a long time. The Minnesota's linebackers used to be a strength. I don't know what's going on. They've had injury issues. Chad Greenway, I think, is retiring after this year. Doesn't scare me. Not when you got Ty Montgomery. Not when you have the options that we have, and not after seeing them tackle against the Colts. I know it's going to be a focus. Vikings front 4. Though you guys, hey, there's some good guys. Not afraid of them, not with our offensive line. Let's just stay healthy, guys, and continue to get healthy. I think we're going to have a lot of success in this game. I think we are, as a team, starting to stack successes. Sean says, Peppers is coming for you, Sean. Or Sam, sorry. Yeah, Julius Peppers, man, what a nice strip sack. Recovered the fumble he caused. He's so long. The guy is inhumanly long. And like we've said, I predicted this from the minute we heard the news that, Perry was the new starter and Peppers was going to be on limited rep count. And the talk at the time was, well, does that mean Peppers is on his way out? I said, no. What it means is Peppers is going to turn it on when this team needs him, because that's what this veteran guy needs to do. He knows how to do this. We got a bold prediction. Heath says Peppers will have 2 sacks in this game. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he has one. especially, if Perry can't go, he'll have more reps. He has had more reps lately, and I think that this is intentional. Obviously, it has something to do, the health of the linebacker position has been in flux a little bit. However, this is also part of the plan, guys. And thank you, Sean, because here's to Julius Peppers getting a ring. It's hard to compare a guy like Julius Peppers to a guy like Donald Driver, because Donald Driver was a career Packer. But to some extent, I feel about Julius Peppers like I do about Donald Driver, that he just, even though he was even a Bear for part of his career, but he's one of those football players that I think deserves a ring, and now he's a Packer. So to some extent, it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison in some ways. Obviously, one was a wide receiver on offense, the other is a linebacker on the 3-4 defense. But I feel about Julius Peppers, man, that he just deserves one, That we brought him in, he's going to turn it on, and he would be one of the guys, that would be such a great story, that he went to the Bears, went to the championship with the Bears. We beat him, and he had to watch us go to the Super Bowl and win. And he played with the Carolina Panthers and went to the Super Bowl himself as probably the most dominant defensive player in the game at the time. Jordan's comparing him to Woodson. And he's much more comparable to Woodson in terms of free agent pickup, et cetera, from a team outside of the Green Bay organization. But I feel about Julius Peppers like I do about Donald Driver. Because, Donald Driver, he just was Packer people. Julius Peppers, he's a quieter guy. He doesn't have the flashy smile, et cetera, but he is Packer people. And I think he deserves a ring. I completely agree. And Lee says, I think this game Randall bounces back with 2 picks. He's got the skill set. He's got the skill set, and he does have to have a bounce-back game. And, basically it was said this week that if he doesn't bounce back, he's not going to be on the field. We'll have somebody else out there playing. It's a no-nonsense defensive backfield. You play or you sit. The problem is, where we thought we were going to have so much depth back there, we've seen when we have to rotate guys in, I just want Randall to play well. I want these guys to turn it on. Rollins and Randall, turn it on, have a good game. I want Ladarius Gunter to have a good game. And we'll see. All right. Gary says, Vikings will play hard against us. We will give them another loss. And we've got a lot of love out there for Donald Driver. I don't know if you guys saw when Donald Driver was inducted into the Packer Hall of Fame. Okay, so it's kind of old news, but I know some of you saw this. That he literally got emotional about being inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame. And frankly, there's good reason for that, because the Packers Hall of Fame is the best one in football. We're going to have more NFL Hall of Famers than the Bears. We're going to be at the top of the list. As soon as these guys that are on this team in many years with many more championships hopefully retire, we're going to be tops in the list. But he got emotional. He was so bought in and just so appreciative of, he had the show. He seemed to love the fans. I just love that guy. And then he got hurt, 6th rounder, I think, 6th or 7th rounder, and just wasn't even expected to play much. Gets on there with Brett Favre, and there you got a connection. And we know you guys in your mind is replaying I know what's replaying in your mind when we're talking about Donald Driver. It's the way he could, because he was like an Olympic high jumper, he could just leave his feet and disappear off the screen. Donald Driver is probably the reason they got that camera on the line that could float across the field, because otherwise he was amazing and a class act. I agree, Tom. All right. So the current Packer situation is hand on the wheel. We need a win against the Vikings. I think we do it. I think we do it both. I think we're going to have a little bit more balance. I think against the Bears, no one would have predicted that the running game, Aaron Rodgers did not have a touchdown through the air in that game. He almost had one on the ground, even with being banged up. But it was the running game that really showed us something. Excuse me. It was a very exciting thing to see, to be honest. And then, of course, we did see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers should have had 2 touchdowns, so I'm not knocking him or anything. It just, that's how it happened. So I think that side of it bounces back. I think Davante Adams maybe gets a touchdown. I think Randall Cobb shows up big time, but more in terms of maybe a handful of catches, that 3rd down. Same thing with Jared Cook, handful of catches. Jared Cook is doing more than just catch 3rd down passes for the Packers. We went back and watched it. I think maybe Larry McCarron talked about it as well. I know Hodgkowitz and Spofford talked about this as well. You know, Jared Cook is chipping guys, knocking them off. On his way out into his route, he's chipping guys. He is helping the running game out. He is really making a difference. And again, as the question was asked, only question with him is, can he stay healthy? And we just hope he can do so. You know, there's nothing we can do about that. It's out of our control. But what we can do is watch and look for him to have a good game against the Vikings. So, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. I've talked about what I do. Does still concern me about this Vikings team. One thing we didn't talk about is this is an NFC North rivalry game, guys. We saw this scenario play out against the Bears, right? The Bears had no business being in it against the Packers, right? If you look at it on paper, but you don't play the game of football on paper. You play the game of football on a field. So that's why we know these NFC North rivalry games, and Gary's mentioned it several times. This team is going to come in, and this is a team playing for their playoff hopes right now. They don't have their hand on the wheel, but they are not out of it yet. They want to win 2 more games and see if they can have a shot. So the Packers need to keep their foot on the gas on offense. I do think a little bit of clock management, if we can do that on offense, will be important. And Kyle says Bradford is going to have a bad day. And that's another thing we need to do. We need to give Sam Bradford the coldest, most painful, bruise and contusion-oriented game. I'm not going to say, I don't want to wish an injury on a guy, but I can say bruises and contusions, right? They're not going to take away my, Sherman's not going to come in and take away my press card for saying bruises and contusions, for wishing bruises and contusions on Sam Bradford. And this defense needs to continue to take the ball away. We saw Julius Peppers important in that regard. We, of course, remember HaHa Clinton-Dix. But we've got a bunch of them that can do it. Marvin says Peppers needs a pick 6. I would love to see that come back this time of year. And Julius Peppers, on top of knowing what the importance of this game is just in general, a December football, getting more reps, but he also understands these rivalry games. He's been in the NFC North for a long, long time. He always plays well against NFC North opponents. Who's out injured this week? Well, we talked about that earlier, Paul, and I think we're just getting healthier because I see... James Starks was the did not participate person. It's hard to say it. Jaron Elliott as well. I don't know that we see Perry this week. Maybe. It sounds like he's getting better, but again, I keep going to, how effective is he going to be? I'd rather have him back when the apparatus he has to wear is a little smaller. Gary's putting out a little shout out to the Fire Fan League. I appreciate that, Gary. We're having such a blast. And now one of the things, you download Fire Fan, go search for, you can either search my name or just search Packer Nation, and it's the GPN logo. It says GPN, it's in black and gold. There's other Packer Nation, obviously, leagues that are using the logo. It's actually not legal for them to be doing that. But jump in, and now you can share within the game to your Twitter followers, to your Facebook fan page, and for everybody that comes to the game through you're now going to get a couple free tokens sent your way. We're having such a blast. And I got freaking knocked down to like 6th place, man. But get on now because wink, wink, hint, hint, it's Thursday night. There's a game tonight. Once you get into our league, you just click the bottom button and look at your alerts. It'll always tell you when I've got a game set. But I'm not always going to tell you, although hint, hint, wink, wink, it's Thursday. So there might be one tonight, set for tonight. It's kidding. It's just everything is so much more fun. The games that the Packers don't play in, the games that the Packers do play in, it doesn't take away from your viewing experience at all. It adds to it as far as I'm concerned. It draws me into the game. And then all you guys smack talking me, I forget, like everybody pretty much beat me last time. I got knocked down out of the top 10 for a while, but I scrapped and clawed my way back to, I think, 6th place overall. And I know there are some you can start your own league as well. Play your league with your friends at home that you do fantasy with. Start a Fire Fan league. I know some people are going to be putting TVs up in their bathroom because of this, so they don't want to miss a play. You guys who are playing with me know what I'm talking about. And frankly, if you muted your phone, you could probably play Gary at a Christmas. I know a lot of you got some Christmas events going on. You could still up the ante and play your points. We are playing to win the Precious. This is our trophy, but keep in mind, guys, every game you play, every token you acquire, you're going to have lifetime points that are separate from the league points. So even if you're not winning the league or whatever, you're still playing for something because you're going to be able to redeem those for tokens. You're going to be able to redeem them for T-shirts, electronics, all kinds of really cool stuff. So there's always something to play for. It's a total blast. I hope you'll jump in. I'm really enjoying it. It's really exciting. So that's why I still am talking about it, so Ryan says, switched my shift tonight so I don't miss. All right. I can't wait. I know there's going to be stories. Some of you guys are going to get on here. And I don't know if you're talking about not missing just the game tonight, which is extremely important, or not missing playing Fire Fan because you want to get your points in. But I know there's going to be stories on here about how you guys hid your phone somewhere at work and still play the game. Fortunately, I used to have a production, I did a lot of production work where you could kind of sit your phone next to you and I'd be playing Fire Fan. I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for me today. We are one day closer. We got some football tonight. Again, I'll rehash it. It's Thursday night. We got some football. Tomorrow's Friday. All right, and we got a Saturday game, okay? So we're getting there. It's been a long week to me, even though it's a shorter week in terms of when we play next. But it is coming, and it's just getting more and more exciting all the time. Packers need to get a big win. Every game is important. We know they're going to focus. Alex Lee is asking, will Rodgers be 100%? I don't think he'll be 100%, but it's very good news in terms of Rodgers. The calf in particular sort of warmed up on him, was actually better down the stretch than it was early on in the game against the Bears. All reports are very positive. Your question is a good one, 100%, however, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get to that point. But before the Bears game, he was saying it feels really good. So very positive, very positive. I said earlier in the show, I still hope, for both, I think we can win both of these games with Aaron Rodgers just in a mindset of a pocket passer. I know it's kind of horrible to say because he's so dangerous when he rolls out, et cetera, et cetera. He extends plays as long as he doesn't extend them too long. But then he also, we saw him, remember a few weeks ago, we saw Aaron Rodgers in basically an option situation. So keep that in mind. If defenses forget about that, Mike McCarthy is ready to roll that back out. But the question being, can Aaron Rodgers be 100%? So I'm not sure that we'll ever see that play called again, but I do think we see in the future where Aaron Rodgers is completely unafraid to get that first down, which is really what I love to see him do. He extends plays to 7-8 seconds. What it does is tax the offensive lineman, and we don't complete that many passes that way. I would rather see us getting the ball out quickly in that 3-second range. What I like out of Aaron Rodgers is when that's not there, he can pump fake, he can freeze defender, and he can run for that 6-8 yards and get a first down. I think we're going to need him to do that at some point. And Virginia said he was almost there. It's all positive, and this is why I say I don't think he's going to be 100%. And the reason for that is we talked about, you've seen the Clay Matthews with the hamstring. The same is true of the calf. And we've got a hammy and a calf on Aaron Rodgers. These muscles become vulnerable over time. And now, remember, this isn't the first calf injury that Aaron Rodgers has had either. It's the opposite. It's not the same calf. But this is an injury that I don't see, even if Aaron Rodgers, to be quite honest, says it's 100%, I think he's going to be vulnerable to re-injury from now until the end of the season, to be honest. That doesn't mean he's not going to feel good enough to run from time to time. Sean says, jumping in late, I've said goodbye to y'all like 3 times today, but there's just so much to talk about, and, totally excited about this big Vikings rivalry game. We knew, and here's another thing that, guys, if you have to go to work, whatever, I totally understand. But I know a bunch of you are still wanting to talk Packers, and the thing is, look at the way this season has played out. This season, we talked about this in training camp, how difficult, even though all the talk early on was how we had the easiest winning percentage opponents of anybody in the league, we knew that was bogus because we knew the teams we were playing had gotten better. And you look at a team like Jacksonville, they got banged up mid-season. We played them first game of the season. They were 100%. And they gave us a shot for a little bit there until Jordy Nelson caught that big pass and the offense got going. We knew it was going to be a grueling season. We had a long month of away games. We had all these oddball games. We had an early bye week. We got injured. We lost our starting running back early. The defense was absolutely decimated. Look at where it's worth it once in a while to look back at where we come from. As fans, I don't really, and the team isn't doing this right now. I don't really want the team doing it necessarily. I want them just focused on the Vikings, obviously. But we can afford to do it. And I mentioned this, if, again, knock on wood, et cetera, if this team gets where every Packer fan wants this team to go, the story of the 2016 season will be nothing less than epic. Seriously, look at the way the season did not play in our favor in any way, shape, or form. Aaron Rodgers and this team held the line when, there was criticism out there, and they, at some point, they couldn't shy away from the criticism even. Because they weren't playing good football. But one thing they didn't do is the locker room did not fall apart. They stuck together. They banded together as brothers. They went out and played their hearts out every week. And now the table has turned. Remember, Detroit a few weeks back had their foot on the gas, hand on the wheel, et cetera, whatever you want to say. With the Vikings following it up, now we have turned the tables, and it's us. We are in control of our own destiny. When you're in control of your own destiny, you put your foot on the gas. This offense needs to continue to control the clock and score points at the end of drives. Then if you add to that, the defense continuing its new trend, and it is relatively new the last month or so, of turning the ball over. We're now +5, I think. We were like even just a few weeks ago, right? Till the Seahawks game, I think. If we continue to do that, then this game, we could score quite a few points in this game. We've now shown that we are getting to that point offensively where we can put up in that close to that 30 on anybody, and at any point we can turn around. If Devontae Adams would have caught those 2 touchdown passes, that game against the Bears wouldn't have been close. And Thomas is making the point. Last game, over 10 yards carry for our running backs. Obviously, I said early on, if the beauty of it is Ty Montgomery can stretch the field, but he also has shown he can run up the middle. Our offensive line deserves a ton of credit right now. And, I think we can keep this rolling. I think we see a little more balance between run and pass in the game against the Vikings. And I think we see a touchdown through the air. The one thing I don't think anybody would have predicted is that we didn't have any touchdowns through the air for Aaron Rodgers, even though he threw 2 of them. So, I think we can keep it up. I think we can keep in that 5 yards carry range. That's what that's a good benchmark. And as I said earlier, Kristen Michael, I think, bought himself some reps. When you score a 42-yard touchdown, whatever it was over 40. I think you deserve to get some more reps. Ty Montgomery is there to stay. Aaron Ripkowski is not even on the injury list this week. And it's December at Lambeau, right? So we've got natural turf. We've got an offense that can run the ball. We know we're dangerous with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. And David is mentioning some of the other, I mean, if you stack up the elements, confidence is in the Packers' favor. Home field advantage is in the Packers' favor. Not just that it's Lambeau Field, but that it's Lambeau Field in December. This is the first cold weather game the Vikings are going to play. They've got a new kicker, which is probably, not a good thing for Packers because he can actually make them. But if he hasn't kicked cold weather, I'm not sure where he came from. He's 2 for 2, I think. Or actually, so far, he is 12 for 12. They've had him for a while. Yeah, he's 12 for 12, I guess, since they got rid of since the Blair kick project ended. But, if you add it up, we've got Aaron Rodgers, they've got Sam Bradford, advantage Packers. They've got a running game. Their running game is last in the league. I mean, like you would put, a Packers team that lost their starting running back against a team that just got Adrian Peterson back, you would think it would be advantage Vikings. That and the fact that you want to run the ball at Lambeau in December, but we are not looking at that situation. We've got a three-headed monster right now that is causing defensive coordinators headaches. And then you add Aaron Rodgers, who's a advantage Packers. Wide receiving core, advantage Packers. Tight ends. I mean, I don't know that I'd give Kyle Rudolph. I think Kyle Rudolph is more key to the Vikings offense than Jared Cook has been to the Packers offense just yet. But we know Jared Cook was hurt for half the year. And we've seen him become a very viable third down threat. And he's doing a lot of good things out there on the field. So that to me is almost a wash. Especially when you stack it against, the rest of the wide receiver core. I'd take the Packers all day long. And Thomas says, Rudolph always messes us up. We've had that comment come across quite a bit, too, from a lot of different people. Because, it's kind of obvious. And it's a bit of a concern. Cook is mediocre at best. Here's Jorge. Here's his comment. I watch Cook. I look at him real close. He's mediocre at best. I'm sure you're a champion, Jorge, at ping pong. Why don't you head back downstairs to your mom's couch in the basement, get out your Xbox, play some Madden. You'll be all right. Trolls come on from time to time, smack talking. It's all right. I just give it back. Diggs must be defense, says Peter. Well, I'm not sure he is going. I'm not sure if he's going to play. Isn't he hurt right now? There's a couple little elements. I think the Vikings can put a few pieces together. I mean, I think, you look at Rudolph. He's a dangerous piece. I think you look at Sam Bradford once in a while. He's a dangerous piece. I personally, there's a couple more I'll add to that. I think Adrian Peterson on play action out of the backfield could be a dangerous piece. I think the defensively, I think the Vikings, front guys can be a dangerous piece. We got to protect Aaron Rodgers. But I don't think they can put enough pieces together to put the kind of game together that they need to beat the Packers right now. Is the way I would characterize it. Tom, oh geez. You guys see the comment. Oh, man. I can't repeat. Well, I want to. Virginia's saying, I believe Diggs is hurt. AD isn't a factor. He's not himself right yet. Now, here's the thing. You watch the game against the Colts, there's a couple concerns. I have a little experience with this because I had to wear a knee brace for 3 different sports. And this injury, number one, that Adrian is coming back from, I believe, was a medial collateral, or it was not an ACL. It's not a cruciate, which is important. Secondarily, against the Colts, Adrian Peterson was wearing a brace. Now, if you've ever worn one of those suckers, running backs hate them. What they do, they're a lockout mechanism that locks the knee from hyperextending, basically. And you hate them because they feel terrible. I know they're much improved because I had one when they were very old and clunky. I have a new one that is quite decent, and I'm sure obviously Adrian Peterson is going to have top of the line titanium, best lightest thing out there, most unobtrusive knee brace out there. But the thing is, if he's got another week under his belt, he may not have to wear the brace this week. And again, I expect Adrian Peterson week by week to improve back to, be more himself. I don't think, but again, we were talking about the list. The running game of the Vikings is the worst in the league. The Packers, what's the strength of the Packers defense? It's stopping the run right now. We give up from time to time. We've given up a long run. But I pretty much agree that AD is not going to be a factor. However, I do think out of the backfield, I watched that game against the Colts. And, you start stacking the box. Adrian Peterson out of the backfield, again, I think he might be a piece. I don't think it adds up to me. I just don't think it adds up. The injury situation, advantage Packers, right? The coaching staff, Vikings can't even keep their coaches. I'd say advantage Packers. I think Zimmer's a good coach, though. And honestly, we know how hard it is for coaches to hold teams together. He's injured. His whole team's injured. Then he's injured. He's got this freaking patch over his eye. He's had like a handful of retinal surgeries. Alex is asking, how do the Packers get a wild card spot? Well, we can actually split these games, and if Washington loses, Tampa Bay loses, I think we still end up in the 6th spot. Well, I talked about this earlier. I got no time for wild card talk. We throw it out there, but that's it. Because I'm talking win the NFC North. And I know there's some thumbs up for that out there in Packer Nation. I am here, this team, the destiny of the 26 Green Bay Packers is to win the NFC North and more. Much, much, much more is my mic drop on that. You watch the way this season was stacked against us in a lot of ways. The NFL was trying to beat the Packers down when they put that schedule together. And I said this, the NFL is extremely careful about their scheduling. Number one, a few years back, I'm not sure how long ago, it was several years at least now. The NFL started ensuring that every last game of the season, every team played a division rival. And look at the last games of every season since. How important, how exciting they've been. It was genius. But the gods of the NFL, they looked at the schedule and they bought into this notion that, we've got the Packers season out here and the winning percentage of the teams that they play this year is lower than anybody else. So they reevaluated and they said, let's find a way to make this the most grueling season we can. We've got to beat down the Green Bay Packers as best we can, or they're going to run away with this thing, which is what a lot of Packer fans early in the season we thought we could do. With the team we were putting together, getting Jordy back, healthy. So they put the schedule together to beat us down. Early bye week, long stretches on the road, and 3 NFC North rivalry games in December to close out the season in a row. But they're not going to stop us either. They're not going to keep us down. And then we had I'm not even talking about the injury situation at that point, which was really a critical injury situation. Brady, doesn't those knee braces affect the running backs' cuts and breaks on the run? Oh, well, yeah, we talked about that a little bit, Tom. Yes, if you've ever worn one. I mean, again, Adrian Peterson is a professional, and he's going to have the best brace out there. What they really do is limit straight line lockout, but they're also going to give lateral support, I'm sure. And again, I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I'd like to get Robert on the show downstairs. He was in the Jacksonville Jaguars training room, so he could explain more about this. But I know from wearing them for many years for 3 different sports. No, I didn't wear it for powerlifting, so 3 different sports. And this is not a cruciate injury, so don't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I would not be surprised if Adrian is not wearing the brace after another week under his belt of rehab. And the doctors, they do strength tests and things like this. Again, he's a piece, but I don't think he's a big enough piece. I don't think they can put together enough of a game against the Packers right now. So mostly to answer your question, Tom, mostly what the knee brace is going to limit is straight line extension. And you'll hear it. You can hear it click, or at least you could. And again, they may have new technology now. I have one from still many years ago now, but you'll even hear it click and lock out because it's to limit hyperextension. So your knee can extend and then it locks, and running backs hate it because. But Adrian Peterson with a brace on, he's still a dangerous back. He did not look the same. I'm not saying that he looks like the same guy. I said it before. I said, Adrian Peterson does not look the same. So you can't take your eyes off him, though. Dom Capers said it in his press conference. With his speed at any play, if you are not just gap sound, but laterally sound, you can't leave a seam for Adrian Peterson because he can take it to the house at any point. And Jacob says AD is going to be running into MD. Boom! Let's talk about some matchups just really quick. Again, I'm probably going for almost an hour now, guys. So I apologize if, I know you guys, some have stepped off now. I'm sure my little rating is dying right now. But let's talk about matchups. Mike Daniels and hopefully Clay Matthews with some more reps this week, covering up Adrian Peterson. I want to see Brian Bulaga versus Griffin in this game. Bulaga did not make the Pro Bowl, but he has been healthy and playing, knock on wood, and playing really well. If he shuts out Griffin, Vikings are going to be in trouble. So I'm interested in that matchup. I'm interested in both Jared Cook and what Jordy Nelson can do in this game. I'm interested, Jared Cook against probably Chad Greenway, I guess. I saw him in the Colts game get matched up against the tight end, and Andrew Luck just took him apart. What is Aaron Rodgers and Jared Cook going to do? Especially since he's so average, since Jorge knows he's so average, I'm sure he won't catch a pass. He won't be dangerous to move the chains on third down. He won't stretch the field. He won't be dangerous to catch a pass over the middle against a linebacker and take it to the house from, say, 30 yards out or so. I'm sure that he'll just stand and watch because he's so mediocre at best. If you didn't catch it, we had a troll on earlier, so that's where those sarcastic comments are coming from. And feel free to go smack talk the troll back in your comments. All right, guys, we need to win the next two games. It's rolling up. Start Saturday. I'm going to let you go for today. I will talk to you. There will be a Saturday show. It's game day. Tomorrow will be Prediction Friday, so don't put them up now. I see Alex is asking. I didn't see this when I was making that comment. Alex, we do Prediction Fridays. So I always hold off. I am pretty good about it because I got to talk about what the game is going to be and what I think we should do all week. But I don't usually let my prediction out. Who's better at the screens, Ty, Michael, or Rip? Well, Rip kind of cut his teeth being in the screen game a little bit. That's what Aaron Rodgers like. Hey, we knew the guy could catch out of the backfield, but we didn't know he could run. So, I would give the nod to Ty Montgomery, and the guy's a wide receiver. So his route running is going to be top-notch, better than either of the other two. But I don't think anybody's, and I'm sure you're not, Thomas, complaining about either of the other two at this point. So it's a great question. I would definitely give the nod to Ty Montgomery, coming from the receiver position to running out of the backfield. Now, he might not be as familiar with some of those out of the backfield routes, but they're so simple, And Ty Montgomery, as I've said before, he's as fluid an athlete as I've ever seen. How many leaps do you think we will see? At least 25 Lambeau leaps in this game. No, I feel like I'd be giving away my prediction if I say that. So I'll say a lot, I hope. And I hope we continue. I hope we see, and I expect to see a little more balance between the pass and the run in this game, especially in terms of scoring. I guess I'm not really thinking when I make that comment. I didn't really look at the actual, count. Jorge says later to everybody. A Vikings fan. Oh my gosh. You so unzipped your fly on that one. Enjoy leaving at Loser Bay. Let me ask you a question, Jorge, and then we'll send you back down to your mom's basement. How many championships do the Packers have? And you don't even know because you don't know anything about football. That would be 13, about to be 14. Who's going to win the division? Oh, that would be the Packers. Who's the only team that's ever three-peated in championships in the entire National Football League ever in the history of the league in any way, shape, or form, in any way in which a championship has been determined? Who's the only team that's three-peated, Jorge? You're probably off now because you're scared. Running back down. Play a little Madden. Amp up the Vikings so you can actually beat the Packers. It's the only way it's ever going to happen. The Packers are the only team that have three-peated, and we've done it twice. So I'm just going to fill you in on that. We've done it twice. Whose name is on the Super Bowl trophy? Who won Super Bowl 1 and 2? Who's about to get their 5th? I've got this notion to rewrite the 12 Days of Christmas with 5 Super Bowl rings. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me another shot, or my Packers gave to me, it would have to be. A shot at a Lombardi. And somewhere in there would be 5 Super Bowl rings. So yeah, if that's living in Loser Bay, you are in purgatory, Jorge, my friend. That's reality. That's history. Vikings never want to hear about that. Vikings fans, they never want to hear about that. The reason is because they have no argument whatsoever. It was hilarious to see how proud the Vikings were of their one NFC North victory in like 280 years or whatever. And they couldn't even beat the Seahawks in the playoffs. They can't even kick a field goal. Packers, meanwhile, should have gone to the Super Bowl. Didn't. But certainly outplayed the sad and lowly Minnesota Vikings, who are on their way down as well. Saturday, it comes head-to-head. We're going to prove it. And then we'll get back, and I'm going to write Jorge's name down if I got a pen around here. Because we're going to be smack-talking Jorge for weeks to come after we destroy the Vikings on Saturday. So yes, I will have a show, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow for Prediction Friday. Same packed time, same packed place. You guys have a great, great Thursday evening, afternoon, and let's talk again Friday. Talk to you later. Go Pack.